Hello everybody, this is Julio Ramos with F.S.O.C LLC. We're here at the 2019 South Atlantic Fire Rescue Expo, and we're doing the Everything Saws for the Fire Service class. So this little portion, we're going to be talking about some of the blades commonly used in the fire service. We'll start off with the abrasive disc. So the abrasive disc is probably the staple for forcible entry for many years. The abrasive disc is typically made out of zirconia or aluminum oxide for the steel cutting, and on the masonry side is silicone oxide. Question is, can you use the silicone oxide, can you use the masonry abrasive disc on metal? Yes, you can. It's just going to wear down faster, cut slower. Vice versa, you can use the steel on the masonry cuts, but it's going to grind down faster and it's going to grind slower. So the blade itself will wear down faster. The pros to this, that they're cheap, they're easier to find. You pretty much go to any hardware store and get them. Biggest thing is make sure that you match the RPM of the blade with the RPM of the saw. So if you have a 5400 RPM saw and a 3700 RPM blade, that's a no-no. You try to use it on anything to cut and it's going to implode or explode. Disadvantage again is also that anytime you use an abrasive disc, as it's grinding down metal, it's actually wearing itself down. But the pro is that usually these things come in multiple sets, like a dozen in a bundle that you can keep at the station or in the unit. Another thing that you got to watch out for with these is that do not store them next to any fuel. It'll actually degrade the blade a lot faster and you can possibly cause an implosion or explosion. And also, whenever you're using this, be very careful about torquing. When you torque these, you create a bunch of hairline fractures, and the same thing, chunks will come off explosively. Here's some examples of them being used and of actually wearing down. That's how they start looking up. By the time they get this low, it's probably pretty hard to use because the guard of the rotary saw, the radial saw, will probably get in the way. Next come carbide blades. Carbides are typically used for roof operations. They can cut residential, commercial wood, commercial light gauge metal. They're pretty good on cutting just about anything that we need for it to cut. If you notice that they have tack welded the carbides around them. So like these are your 12 tooth and 24 tooth. They're 12-inch blades. So you're only going to get like a maximum cut about 3 inches with these. The reason why you got some that are like 12 and then like 24, so these have more cutting teeth to prevent, how would I word this? So what happens is when you're using the rotary, when you're using a roof saw and you're cutting a roof with these, it's going to take a little bit longer to cut because you have not that much space for the material to actually come out, but you lose less teeth. You actually have more service time with the blade. Again, the downfall is that your cut time is actually a little bit longer, and it sometimes eventually may actually cause a hindrance. These tend to do more of a ripping out. Yes, if you hit some metal, the carbide may come out, but as this cutting is actually given enough space to throw any of the material that's cutting out the way. Again, it'll cut light gauge metal, the foam, the rubber, the wood, shiplap, all sorts of stuff. Here's a 14-inch version. This is an 18 tooth, and then this is an 18 tooth. This is a 14-inch blade that's 30 tooth from that are abrasive blades. Last but not least, we have your diamond blades. Now, I want you to take a look at these two blades, and I want you to look at the difference. These both are diamond blades, but one of them is rated for the fire service and one of them is masonry. So this is a masonry diamond blade. This is meant for doing asphalt cutting, concrete cutting. It may cut reinforced concrete, so like the rebar that's inside of it, but the reason why it's able to cut that is because if it's cutting that, it's still cutting concrete inside of it, and the concrete is exposing the smooth diamond. Notice that this is a diamond tip at the end that it's smooth. If you're trying to cut straight metal with this, it'll actually warp and bend that steel. We actually had where we were trying to cut a commercial storefront door for a prop, and it actually got so hot that the blade started warping, started changing colors, and it got really soft. These, on the other hand, these are vacuum brazed welded diamond blades. They're very coarse, very aggressive. They're meant to cut different materials. They will cut metal, steel. As far as wood, they burn the wood away. They're not really good for cutting wood. So when they say it's a multi-purpose saw, it is. It'll cut steel or grind concrete, masonry, stuff like that a lot faster. Wood, not so much, it burns it off. One thing you got to watch out with diamond blades, some are unidirectional, some are bidirectional. So you have to look at the blade when it first comes in and actually tell you which way they want the fins to be facing. All right. This one's kind of, almost can't see it anymore, but this used to say caution. The caution side would go on the belt side, and the side that had the company's logo was facing the arbor side. Oh, yes, something to think about too. For some of your blades, they'll have something called a knockout punch. So some saws are 20 millimeters, some saws are an inch on their arbor. The arbor is that thing that actually slides inside there. So sometimes some companies will just sell you one or the other, or like something like this company in particular will actually give you the knockout punch. The knockout means that it starts at 20 millimeter, but you can take like a center punch or a chisel and knock it out, and that becomes an inch arbor. And there's some other stuff to look into. Inspecting the diamond blades, inspecting the carbides, especially the diamonds though. Look it around completely and see if you see any hairline fractures, any missing teeth or anything like that, because the hairline fractures could potentially create an explode, like it'll explode a piece violently and can hurt somebody. All right, so definitely look for fractures. Look to make sure that they're not dull. So with these, same thing, if you start seeing that they're getting dull, you can re-expose the diamonds by using it on the side of some sort of masonry like concrete. And that's today's episode on saws and saw blades.